How can we integrate our hip-hop mentality into higher education and make it beneficial on both ends? How can you learn from others and form a solid ground from which you can grow and expand your horizon? This is Brain Candy's Large, a series of talks aimed to inspire you by experts from our community. Get hooked and experience how you can make a difference.
Hip-hop dancers learn from each other and with each other. And by hip-hop here, I mean culture, with many different dance styles within it. These dancers, they don't need to get a bachelor in dance to become great. And next to that, they also may feel like outsiders to academies. It is a system that kept them on its margins for so long. So now it feels like they would need a really good reason to integrate it. I think there are good reasons for hip-hop talent to get higher education, and this can be to everybody's benefit. The academic system can grow immensely by embracing hip-hop culture and some of its values. Hip-hop dancers can benefit from knowledge and opportunities higher education has to offer. I'm here to talk about to you why I'm passionate about this idea. Let me tell you a bit where I come from. I was born and raised in Belgrade, then Yugoslavia. At 18, I moved to Paris to study. Since then, I'm an immigrant. I lived in France, in Portugal, and now I live in the Netherlands. During this time, I worked as a dancer, dance dramaturg, producer, researcher, lecturer, and now I'm an artistic director of a dance education. I changed several cultural and professional contexts during this time. Most of my life, I'm an outsider, with different degrees of integration, familiarity, and strangeness involved. There are difficulties related to this experience. And this is when you're seen by default as someone inferior or poorer or ignorant or not understanding quite the unwritten rules, and you are tagged with all sorts of stereotypes related to you, your people, your culture, or your country. But there are good parts as well. And that may be precisely the fact that you are an outsider and you don't know always all the rules. So you can choose not to follow them and not to burden yourself with how things should be done. You can choose to think in terms how they can be done. You do become adaptable, but you also try and do things in your own way. What you do need is to trust yourself, somewhere deep down, even if you have your doubts and fears. What I trusted were my abilities to think and learn. And this is thanks to education I had received, and of course support of my family. But you see, Yugoslavia had a fantastic education and cultural life overall. It was free and accessible. When I was at school, watching films, reading books, even artsy one, going to concerts, theater, exhibitions, all of that, and creating and then having deep conversation and debates about it, all of that was seen as cool. Being creative was cool, but being knowledgeable and critical was cool. It wasn't something elitist. It was seen as something that can lift you. And it was like that because it was accessible. So I took all of that with me when I went to France. I think we all need in life that kind of space that gives us confidence. A culture that allows us to form values and acquire knowledge. A solid ground from which you can grow and then relate to the world. I see hip-hop as a culture that is that space for many people. It is created by people forced to be outsiders in their own cities, in their own countries. They were oppressed and denied access and opportunities, and worse. And they made things for themselves. They created their own history, culture, knowledge, and art. Of course, my story as white East European immigrant is not comparable to those of Afro-Americans or Latinos, or now Afro-Dutch or Indonesian and Moroccan Dutch people. What I can relate to is acting from a position of margin. I know the kind of guts, resilience, imagination, and creativity this demands, and also the kind of support the one needs in this situation. How crucial a sense of belonging to a rich, beautiful culture is. This is why hip-hop culture is important and why it resonates with me. But in my story, I describe as my place of growth also my education, not just culture. I'm lucky. Having a good education helps immensely. It lifts you, it gives you knowledge and confidence. That's one of the reasons I believe in its power to this day. So here's my question. What if higher education becomes that space of growth for hip-hop talent, the place where dancers can thrive and develop to the highest professional level, become artists. Well, today hip-hop is already part of higher education here in Netherlands, in HBO programs. Elsewhere in Europe too, this question is not new. However, for a while now, it's still oscillating between the desire of professionalization and the resistance towards the institutional frame and what it would do to the practice and culture. So, how to make it this space of growth? 1, undo the stereotypes, and 2, embrace the values of hip-hop culture. I heard some stereotypes about hip-hop inside academies. For example, hip-hop dancers are not disciplined, they're not reliable, they always come late, they just keep doing their own thing and they don't evolve because of that. They're not focused or not adaptable. On the other side, I heard things about academies from hip-hop dancers. These schools format people, they don't respect individuality, they have narrow standards in which hip-hop talent doesn't fit, or, well, they just want us hip-hop dancers, but they don't want our culture inside the institution. This is what exclusion produces, and these examples illustrate the relation between an institution and its outsider. So let's embrace the values, and what are they? Well, there are things I see in the hip-hop approach to dance. For one, unparalleled passion for movement. Hip-hop students I see never stop moving, experimenting, and exploring. Also, endless curiosity. All influences are good to explore and integrate. Imagination. Well, they think in terms of how things can be done. Autonomy. Hip-hop students I see, they work by themselves all the time. They don't need teachers to tell them what to do. They have the ability to share their knowledge and teach, and they understand dance as belonging to a broader culture. So I think this is how education needs to be built around these values. Give environments where talent can be built around the capacities that are already there, respect their autonomy, see it as a blessing. Give students space to work with each other, support their passion, and then challenge them. Value the culture and its history and make it an integral part of your curriculum. Well, one of the reasons I am here is because, as I said, I run an education at Amsterdam University of the Arts. So we try to work with these values and we're learning a lot in the process. I'm lucky there also to inherit the work of my colleagues who for many years already knew how to bring hip-hop spirit in the education. With this new program, it's called Expanded Contemporary Dance. We look at contemporary not as a dance form, but as anything that is of our time. In that sense, hip-hop is contemporary. We teach, of course, techniques, hip-hop and breaking and house, but ultimately it is about this space of growth, supporting students to find their own path through this expanding world of movement they explore with each other and with their teachers. The diversity of our community and the openness of our spirit, or open-mindedness of the program, is why some of our students who are hip-hop dancers say that this is the only program they were interested in joining. So I'm coming to my last point. Why would a hip-hop talent join a program? What is it for them to gain? And vice versa, what does an institution gain by educating hip-hop talent? I'll start with the institution and remind you again of the values I mentioned. Curiosity, autonomy, imagination, ability to share knowledge. It's all there. Aren't those ideal goals for any artistic education? I believe they are. And hip-hop talent already comes with them. So what do they teach an institution? That their starting point is that of knowledge and not of ignorance. By embracing this idea, formal education can turn into a truly progressive, innovative education with an inspiring base from which they can challenge the students to continue learning. What do hip-hop dancers gain from getting a BA in dance? For one, professionalization. You learn how to work with shared rules and frameworks, be rigorous, understand institutional networks. Also, how to take care of yourself and your career, how to deal with workload. But most of all, what you gain is growing personally and artistically. getting out of your comfort zone, building your performing and creative skills, developing reflection, building your artistic sensibility and taste, and expanding your horizon. What you would learn is basically what any dance student will learn on their path of becoming a skillful professional and an artist with unique voice. There is no reason to wait. Let's move forward and see more and more hip-hop talent claim their position in education and onto professional dance stage. Thanks for watching, and let's continue the conversation.